T-317 in the morning, the alien survey ship Velka 9 descended through the clouds above North America. Its engines made no sound. Its hull reflected no moonlight. To the sleeping world below, it was nothing more than a shadow moving between the stars. Commander Veyr stood at the front of the observation deck, his 4 black eyes fixed on the landscape beneath him. Mountains stretched in every direction, covered in dense pine forests. Narrow roads twisted through the darkness like old scars. There were no cities nearby. No military bases. No human aircraft. Only one small town. Mercy Hollow. A forgotten place hidden deep in the mountains of West Virginia. Population, 1,204. That number appeared on the alien ship scanner, copied from a rusted sign at the edge of town. The sign was old, bent, and half covered in moss. Welcome to Mercy Hollow, the friendliest town in America. Commander Veyr did not understand the phrase. Friendly. Among his people, friendliness was not a survival trait. It was a weakness. And humans, according to every official report, were supposed to be emotional, fragile, divided creatures. Useful for study. Dangerous only in groups. But this town did not feel fragile. It felt like something holding its breath. Life readings? Veyr asked. Dr. Lyra Sen, the ship's xenobiologist, looked down at her console. Her pale fingers moved quickly across the glowing screen. No active human signatures, she said. No heat movement. No electrical grid response. No animal movement either. One of the soldiers behind them clicked his mandibles. Then it is abandoned. Veyr did not answer. He watched the dark streets below. Houses stood in perfect rows. Cars sat in driveways. A school bus waited beside an elementary school. A gas station sign swung slightly in the wind. Everything was still. Too still. The ship landed in the middle of the town's main road. No alarm sounded. No doors opened. No dogs barked. The landing ramp lowered with a hiss, and cold mountain air entered the ship. It smelled of wet leaves, old wood, and something faintly metallic. Blood, Veyr thought. But the scanner detected none. He stepped onto the road with 6 armed soldiers behind him. Their armor lights swept across storefronts, windows, mailboxes, and parked cars. The town looked untouched, as if every human had simply stood up one day and vanished. A coffee cup still sat on a diner table. A child's bicycle lay on the sidewalk. A newspaper rested outside a closed grocery store. Dr. Lyra picked it up carefully. The date was 27 years old. Her voice lowered. Commander! Veyr turned. She pointed toward the gas station across the street. Above the door hung a round clock with cracked glass. Its hands were frozen at 3:17. Then she pointed to the diner. Another clock. 3:17. The church tower. 3:17. The school entrance. 3:17. Every clock in Mercy Hollow had stopped at the exact same time. One of the soldiers laughed nervously. A power failure. Dr. Lyra shook her head. Mechanical clocks too. The wind moved through the empty street. Then, from inside the diner, music began to play. Everyone froze. It was soft at first, hidden beneath static. Then it grew louder. An old human song. Slow. Warm. Wrong. The diner's neon sign flickered once. Then it turned on. Open. Veyr raised one hand, ordering silence. The soldiers aimed their weapons at the diner windows. Inside, the lights blinked awake one by one. A counter appeared. Red stools. Silver napkin holders. Old photographs on the wall. And a man sitting alone at the far end. Human. Middle-aged. Broad shoulders. Gray beard. Brown sheriff's uniform. He sat perfectly still, one hand around a white coffee mug. Dr. Lyra's scanner beeped. No life sign, she whispered. The human slowly turned his head toward the window. His eyes met Commander Veyr's. Then he smiled. Not kindly. Not cruelly. Like a man who had been waiting for them for a very long time. Veyr felt something cold move through his spine. Identify him, he ordered. Dr. Lyra zoomed her scanner on the badge pinned to the human's chest. The name appeared on her screen. Sheriff Caleb Rourke. The dead sheriff lifted one hand. He pointed behind them. Commander Veyr turned. The road they had landed on was gone. So was their ship. Where metal and landing lights had been moments ago, there was only black forest. Tall pine trees stood across the road, packed tightly together like prison bars. The soldiers began shouting. Dr. Lyra stepped backward. Then every clock in Mercy Hollow started ticking at once. Tick, tick, tick. And from every empty house, every closed store, every dark window, 1,000 human voices whispered the same warning. Don't let it out. For several long seconds, nobody moved. The ticking of hundreds of clocks echoed through Mercy Hollow like a heartbeat buried beneath the streets. Every second felt unnaturally loud. Tick, tick, tick. Commander Veyr slowly turned back toward the diner. Sheriff Caleb Rourke was still sitting exactly where he had been moments earlier, one hand wrapped around a steaming coffee mug. Steaming. That made no sense. The town had been abandoned for 27 years. Nothing should have been warm. Dr. Lyra's scanner shook slightly in her hands. I'm reading a body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. One of the soldiers looked relieved. So he's alive. Lyra swallowed. But his heartbeat is 0. Silence. Commander Veyr had explored plague worlds, battlefields, and planets where entire civilizations had been erased overnight. He had never heard of a creature with body heat but no pulse. Stay behind me, he ordered. The diner door opened with a soft chime as they stepped inside. The smell hit them immediately. Fresh coffee, bacon, warm bread. It smelled exactly like a restaurant that had opened only minutes ago. Yet dust covered the corners of the room. Spider webs stretched across the ceiling. Several chairs had begun to rot. Time seemed broken inside the building. Sheriff Caleb never looked away from his coffee. You boys aren't from around here, he said calmly. His voice carried a thick Appalachian accent. One soldier raised his plasma rifle. Identify yourself. The sheriff ignored the weapon. Instead, he slowly lifted his coffee mug and took a sip. Commander Veyr noticed something impossible. The coffee disappeared into the cup, but never reached the man's mouth. It simply vanished. As if reality itself refused to show what happened next. Lyra quietly whispered, "The scanner says his organs don't exist." The sheriff finally looked up. His blue eyes were tired. Not frightening. Just exhausted. You shouldn't have landed here. Commander Veyr stepped closer. My name is Commander Veyr of the Caliph Dominion. I don't care. We are conducting a peaceful survey. I know. You know? Caleb nodded. I've been waiting for you. Every soldier tightened their grip on their weapons. Commander Veyr narrowed his eyes. Waiting, for us. For whoever came next. The sheriff stood up. His chair scraped across the wooden floor. Only then did everyone notice the massive hole in his chest. Not a wound. A perfectly round hole where his heart should have been. Through it, they could see the diner wall behind him. No blood. No flesh. Just empty darkness. One of the alien soldiers gasped. Impossible! Caleb looked down at the hole as though he had forgotten it existed. Oh! He smiled sadly. That happened a long time ago. Dr. Lyra could barely breathe. Commander, he's biologically impossible. Caleb looked directly at her. No, Doctor. I'm just dead. The words settled over the room like ice. Nobody laughed. Nobody questioned him. Because every instinct told them. He was telling the truth. Outside, a church bell rang once. Dong. Caleb's expression changed instantly. The tired smile disappeared. His face became serious. You don't have much time. Commander Veyr stepped forward. What is this place? Mercy Hollow. What happened here? We made a promise. To whom? Caleb remained silent. The lights above them flickered. Once. Twice. Then all the windows went black. Not dark. Black. As if someone had painted over reality itself. Lyra rushed to the nearest window. There are no stars. Commander Veyr joined her. She was right. The sky had disappeared. The moon was gone. The mountains were gone. Outside every window, there was only endless blackness. Like the town no longer existed on Earth. One soldier panicked. "We're trapped." Another ran toward the diner entrance. He grabbed the door handle. It wouldn't move. He fired his plasma rifle into the lock. The blast should have ripped the door apart. Instead, the energy vanished the moment it touched the wood. Not absorbed. Not reflected. Simply erased. Caleb sighed. Violence won't help. Commander Veyr slowly turned toward him. "What do you know?" The sheriff walked toward an old bulletin board hanging near the entrance. Pinned to it were dozens of faded photographs. Families. School children. Firefighters. Birthday parties. Christmas celebrations. Every single person in every picture had scratched out eyes. Except one. A little girl wearing a yellow raincoat. Caleb gently touched the photo. "Emily." His voice almost broke. "She was 8. Commander Veyr studied the picture. "What happened to her?" Caleb closed his eyes. "We opened the wrong door." Silence filled the diner. Then, a loud knock echoed from the front door. Knock. 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 Everyone froze. Another knock. Slower this time. Knock. 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 Commander Veyr motioned for 2 soldiers to cover the entrance. "Who's there?" one shouted. No answer. Only another knock. Then, a small child's voice came from outside. Soft. Sweet. Barely above a whisper. "Sheriff." Caleb's face turned white. "No." The child spoke again. "I'm cold." Every alien in the diner felt the temperature drop. Ice formed across the windows. Their armor sensors screamed warnings. External temperature. -47 degrees Celsius. But only around the diner. Caleb backed away from the door. "Whatever happens." He looked directly at Commander Veyr. "Do not answer her." The knocking stopped. For one terrifying second, everything became silent. Then tiny footprints began appearing across the diner ceiling. One after another. As though an invisible child was walking upside down above their heads. Wet footprints. Dripping black water. Heading straight toward them. The first black footprint appeared directly above Commander Veyr. Small. Barefoot. No larger than the foot of an 8-year-old child. Then another. And another. Each one formed slowly, as though invisible feet were pressing against the old wooden ceiling. Thick black water dripped from every print, splashing onto the diner floor without making a sound. No one dared look away. One of the younger soldiers, Rourke, tightened his grip on his plasma rifle until his knuckles turned white beneath his gloves. "What is that?" he whispered. Sheriff Caleb didn't answer immediately. His eyes followed the footprints as they crossed the ceiling. Finally, he spoke. "Don't look into her eyes." Rourke frowned. "What? If she appears?" Caleb's voice was barely audible. "Don't look into her eyes." Commander Veyr had heard enough. "We are leaving." He motioned for his team to move toward the back exit. "There must be another way out." Caleb slowly shook his head. "There isn't." "There always is." "You still think you're on Earth?" Those words stopped everyone. Dr. Lyra stared at her scanner. "Commander!" "What?" "The town isn't producing any GPS signal." "So?" "There isn't even a magnetic field anymore." She swallowed. "It's like Mercy Hollow has been cut away." Commander Veyr looked around the diner. Nothing about the building had changed. The tables were still there. The jukebox continued playing its old country song. The coffee still steamed inside Caleb's mug. Yet something deep inside him realized the sheriff was telling the truth. The town was no longer part of the world they had landed on. A loud crash interrupted his thoughts. One of the windows shattered. Every soldier spun toward it. Outside stood a little girl. Yellow raincoat. Long black hair covering most of her face. Bare feet. She couldn't have been older than 8. Exactly like the photograph. Emily. She stood perfectly still in the middle of the empty street. Rain had begun to fall. Only, the rain was moving upward. Drops lifted from the ground into the sky instead of falling. Dr. Lyra whispered, "Commander!" Her scanner trembled violently. "I'm detecting impossible readings." Commander Veyr never took his eyes off the girl. "What kind of readings?" "She has negative body temperature." "What does that mean?" "I don't know." The girl slowly raised her head. One eye became visible beneath her wet hair. It wasn't human. There was no iris. No pupil. Only endless darkness. Caleb shouted, "Look away!" Commander Veyr instantly lowered his eyes. Every trained soldier obeyed. Except Rourke. The young alien stared directly into the girl's face. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then Rourke smiled. A peaceful smile. "I can hear my mother." Commander Veyr grabbed him. "Soldier!" Rourke wasn't listening. Tears rolled down his face. "She says she's waiting for me. No one is there." "Commander!" His voice sounded happier than anyone had ever heard. "I finally remember home." Before anyone could stop him, Rourke walked through the broken diner window. Glass sliced across his armor. He didn't react. Emily turned around and began walking toward the church at the end of the street. Rourke followed her. Like a child following his parent. Commander Veyr rushed outside with 2 soldiers. "Rourke!" The young soldier never looked back. The closer he came to the girl, the older he became. His armor rusted. His skin wrinkled. His movement slowed. Within 10 steps, his black hair turned completely white. Dr. Lyra screamed. "He's aging!" Commander Veyr ran faster. But no matter how hard he ran, the distance between them never changed. It was as though the street itself stretched with every step. Rourke reached the church gate. Emily stopped walking. Without turning around, she whispered something. Nobody else heard it. Rourke nodded. Then he calmly placed his plasma rifle on the ground, removed his helmet, smiled toward the empty sky, and walked through the closed church doors. Without opening them, his body simply disappeared into the wood. The church bell rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Commander Veyr reached the entrance seconds later. The doors were locked. Solid. No sign that anyone had entered. He slammed his fists against the wood. "Rourke!" Only silence answered. Sheriff Caleb slowly approached behind them. "You can't save someone once she speaks to them." Commander Veyr spun around. "What is she?" Caleb stared at the church. "No." "What?" "Not what?" His tired eyes filled with regret. "Who?" Commander Veyr frowned. "What do you mean?" Caleb looked toward the old cemetery behind the church. Hundreds of weathered gravestones stood beneath twisted oak trees. Most of the names had faded away. One grave had no name at all. Only one sentence carved into the stone. "She opened the door." Dr. Lyra stepped closer. "Who wrote this?" Caleb answered without looking away. "We all did." Thunder rolled across the black sky. For the first time since entering Mercy Hollow, the ground beneath their feet vibrated. Softly, like something enormous had shifted deep below the town. Every bird in the forest screamed at once. Then fell silent. Commander Veyr felt it through his boots. Something, far beneath the church, had just awakened. Caleb slowly closed his eyes. His voice was almost a prayer. "God help us." Commander Veyr looked at him. "What is waking up?" The sheriff opened his eyes. Fear filled them for the first time. She wasn't trying to escape. He pointed beneath the church. She was feeding it. At that exact moment, the church floor cracked with a deafening roar. From somewhere deep underground, a single sound echoed through Mercy Hollow. Not a growl, not a scream, but a slow, deep breath, as though something the size of a mountain had finally opened its eyes. Phase 4, the door beneath the church. The sound echoed beneath the church for nearly 10 seconds. One impossibly deep breath. It rolled through the ground like distant thunder, vibrating every window in Mercy Hollow. Dust drifted from rooftops. Street lights flickered. The church bell swung gently without anyone touching it. Commander Veyr felt the vibration through his boots. It wasn't the movement of an animal. It wasn't machinery. It felt ancient. Older than mountains. Older than civilization itself. Every instinct inside him screamed the same warning. Run. But there was nowhere to run. The town had already swallowed every road leading out. Commander Veyr turned toward Sheriff Caleb. What is under this church? The old sheriff didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked toward the cemetery behind the church where hundreds of weathered gravestones leaned at strange angles. The wind carried dozens of faded American flags tied to old iron fences. They're all volunteers, Caleb finally said. Commander Veyr frowned. Volunteers? They chose to stay. Dr. Lyra looked confused. Stay after death? Caleb nodded once. No one forced them. The alien soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. Nothing in their understanding of humanity explained this. Their intelligence reports described humans as emotional, selfish, and easily frightened. Yet every grave in front of them belonged to someone who had willingly remained in a cursed town. Commander Veyr studied the gravestones more carefully. Most had no names. Only short messages. I held the west gate. I heard it sing. Don't believe your eyes. We kept the promise. A cold chill spread through the alien commander's body. These weren't memorials. They were warnings. Suddenly, one of the gravestones moved. Not much. Just enough to catch everyone's attention. Then another. And another. Soil began sliding away from the graves as if something beneath them had shifted. One frightened soldier raised his plasma rifle. They are coming out. Caleb immediately stepped between the graves and the soldiers. Don't. They are moving. They are not attacking. Commander Veyr narrowed his eyes. What are they doing? Caleb looked toward the church. They are listening. The breathing beneath the town came again. Longer this time. Deeper. The gravestones stopped shaking instantly, as though whatever lay below had gone quiet again. Dr. Lyra slowly approached one of the oldest headstones. Half of its inscription had disappeared with time. She brushed away moss until only 3 words remained. First watch ends. What does that mean? She asked. Caleb sighed. Every generation protected the door. Commander Veyr folded his arms. What door? Without saying another word, Caleb walked to the church entrance. This time, the massive wooden doors opened on their own. The inside of the church looked untouched despite being abandoned for decades. Rows of wooden pews. Old hymn books. Candles that somehow continued burning. Sunlight should have poured through the stained glass windows. Instead, only darkness waited outside. The church no longer belonged to the world above. Commander Veyr cautiously entered. His soldiers followed. Dr. Lyra noticed something strange almost immediately. There are no religious symbols. Commander Veyr looked around. She was right. No cross. No altar. No paintings of saints. Only dozens of heavy iron chains hanging from the ceiling. Each chain disappeared into the floor. Thousands of them. Some as thick as tree trunks. Others no wider than a finger. Every chain vibrated ever so slightly. Almost as if something far below kept pulling them. Commander Veyr knelt beside one. It wasn't metal. It only looked like metal. The surface felt warm. Alive. What are these made of? Caleb answered quietly. Human promises. No one understood what he meant. Then the sheriff walked to the center of the church and pushed aside an enormous wooden rug. Hidden beneath it was a circular iron hatch almost 15 feet across. Hundreds of locks covered its surface. Each lock carried a different human name. Some looked centuries old. Others appeared almost new. Commander Veyr counted until he reached 100. Then he stopped. There were too many. Why so many locks? He asked. Caleb rested his hand on the hatch. Because one isn't enough. A loud metallic sound echoed beneath them. Clang! One lock had broken. Everyone jumped. Another followed. Clang! Then another. One by one, ancient locks cracked apart. Dr. Lyra scanned the hatch. Her face lost all color. Commander! What? There isn't empty space beneath us. What do you mean? She slowly turned the scanner toward him. The display showed a biological mass nearly 2 kilometers wide. Not rock. Not magma. Living tissue. Heartbeat. 1. Every 73 seconds. Commander Veyr stared at the screen. Impossible. Lyra shook her head. No. Her voice trembled. It's alive. Every soldier instinctively stepped backward. 2 kilometers. No known creature could reach that size. Not even on high-gravity worlds. Commander Veyr looked toward Caleb. You've known this whole time? The sheriff nodded. My whole life. You built a church over it? No. Caleb's tired eyes met his. It built the town over itself. Silence consumed the room. For a moment, nobody breathed. The implications were impossible. Mercy Hollow wasn't protecting something beneath the church. The church had been built directly above a living creature that had existed before the town itself. Another lock snapped. Clang. Then 5 more broke together. The chains hanging from the ceiling tightened violently. Dust rained down. The entire church groaned as though its foundations were beginning to fail. Commander Veyr grabbed Caleb by the shoulder. Tell me exactly what we're dealing with. The sheriff looked toward the iron hatch. His expression carried the weight of 27 years of guilt. It doesn't eat flesh. He paused. It eats memory. Commander Veyr frowned. What? It doesn't kill you first. Caleb's voice cracked. It makes the world forget you ever existed. Dr. Lyra blinked. A strange feeling washed over her. She looked around the church. There were. She frowned. There were 7 soldiers with us. Commander Veyr turned sharply. There were only 6. Everyone looked at one another. No one could remember who the 7th soldier had been. No name. No face. No voice. Only the terrifying certainty that someone was missing. The creature beneath Mercy Hollow had already begun feeding. No one spoke. The silence inside the church became heavier than the fear itself. Commander Veyr looked around his team again. 1 commander. Dr. Lyra. 5 soldiers. He knew that wasn't right. When they had landed in Mercy Hollow, there had been 7 soldiers. Rourke had followed the little girl into the church. That made 6. But now, only 5 remained. Someone else was missing. Someone whose name had simply disappeared. Commander Veyr squeezed his temples. His military training had taught him to remember every member of his squad. Every name. Every face. Every rank. Yet no matter how hard he tried, his mind found only emptiness. Dr. Lyra stared at her scanner. It's happening. Commander Veyr looked up. What is? The biological mass beneath us. The heartbeat on her scanner had changed. Before, 1 beat every 73 seconds. Now, 1 beat every 68. It was becoming faster. Feeding. Sheriff Caleb slowly walked toward the massive iron hatch. You've already lost 1. Commander Veyr's eyes narrowed. 1 what? Memory. The sheriff looked directly at every alien standing inside the church. It always starts small. A face. A name. A birthday. A promise. You don't notice until there's nothing left. 1 soldier suddenly frowned. Commander! What? He looked confused. I can't remember my homeworld. Everyone turned toward him. What do you mean? Commander Veyr asked. The soldier's breathing became heavier. I know I have 1. I know I was born somewhere. But... He looked terrified. I can't picture it anymore. Dr. Lyra immediately scanned him. Neural activity. Normal. Heart rate. Elevated. Brain damage. None. Yet something impossible had been erased. Commander Veyr clenched his fists. We leave. Right now. Sheriff Caleb shook his head. Too late. Commander Veyr ignored him. Move. The team rushed outside the church. The town looked different. Not physically. Emotionally. The streets felt unfamiliar. As though they had entered someone else's memories. The gas station where they had landed was gone. Commander Veyr stopped walking. No. He turned toward Dr. Lyra. Wasn't there a gas station? She hesitated. She looked around. I think so. Think. Not know. Commander Veyr's stomach tightened. The town wasn't changing. Their memories were. The memory eater wasn't simply consuming minds. It was rewriting reality through forgotten things. A loud scream echoed from the far end of Main Street. One of the soldiers. Commander Veyr sprinted toward the sound. The others followed. They found Sergeant Doran standing in the middle of the road. His helmet lay on the ground beside him. He stared at his own hands with complete horror. My hands! Commander Veyr grabbed his shoulders. What happened? Doran looked up. I don't know how to use them. What? I remember fighting. I remember serving. But... He slowly opened and closed his fingers. I don't remember what hands are. Dr. Lyra's scanner emitted a shrill warning. Neural memory degradation. Accelerating. Commander Veyr looked toward Sheriff Caleb. Can this be stopped? Caleb answered quietly. Only if it stops eating. Doran suddenly smiled. A peaceful, empty smile. Commander Veyr had seen that expression before. On Recon. Right before he disappeared. No. Commander Veyr whispered. Doran slowly turned toward the old library across the street. The front doors stood open. Darkness waited inside. Someone, or something, was calling him. Commander Veyr grabbed him again. Stay with me. Doran gently removed the commander's hands. His voice sounded calm. I just remembered. Commander Veyr's heart lifted for a second. What? I remembered. Doran smiled wider. That I never existed. Without another word. He walked into the library. The darkness swallowed him completely. Commander Veyr and two soldiers rushed after him. Flashlights cut through the dust-filled air. Bookshelves stretched endlessly. Far longer than the building should have allowed. The library had become impossible. Every shelf held thousands of identical black books. No titles. No authors. Only blank covers. Dr. Lyra carefully pulled one from a shelf. The moment she opened it, she froze. Commander Veyr looked over her shoulder. Every page contained only one sentence. Repeated again. And again. And again. You were here. Hundreds of pages. Thousands of times. You were here. You were here. You were here. Another soldier opened a different book. This one read, She was your mother. Over and over. Commander Veyr pulled another book free. The first page made his blood run cold. Commander Veyr. He slowly turned the page. Blank. Another page. Blank. Another. Blank. The final page contained only 4 words. Now no one remembers. His hands began shaking. Somewhere deep inside the endless library, footsteps echoed. Slow. Heavy. Not human. Not animal. Each step caused the books to tremble. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The heartbeat beneath the town grew louder. Boom. 63 seconds. Boom. 61. It was speeding up. Feeding faster. Then, every black book in the library fell open at exactly the same moment. Thousands of pages turned by themselves. The whispers began. Soft at first. Then louder. Not one voice. Thousands. Children. Old men. Women. Soldiers. Teachers. Police officers. Entire families. All repeating the same desperate plea. Remember us. Commander Veyr slowly looked toward the far end of the endless aisle. A silhouette stood between the shelves. Nearly 12 feet tall. Too thin to be human. Its arms touched the floor. Its face had no eyes. Only an enormous mouth stretching from ear to ear. Inside that mouth, hundreds of human faces silently screamed. Sheriff Caleb's voice echoed from behind them. His calm tone had vanished. For the first time since they had met him, he sounded terrified. "Don't let it see your face." The creature slowly tilted its head. Then, every human face inside its mouth opened their eyes. And all of them looked directly at Commander Veyr. Every face inside the creature's mouth smiled at the same time. Commander Veyr couldn't breathe. Hundreds of human faces. Young, old, children, mothers, firefighters, teachers, police officers, all staring directly at him from inside the impossible creature. None of them blinked. None of them screamed. They simply watched, as though waiting for him to remember them. Sheriff Caleb shouted from behind. "Down!" Commander Veyr reacted instantly. He threw himself to the floor. A massive black arm swept across the library where his head had been only a fraction of a second earlier. Books exploded into the air. Entire shelves snapped in half like dry branches. The creature never made a sound. Its movements were completely silent. Only the beating beneath the town continued. Boom. 58 seconds. Boom. 56. Dr. Lyra pulled another soldier behind a fallen bookshelf. "Don't look at it." The terrified soldier nodded. Too late. His eyes met one of the human faces inside the monster's mouth. He froze. His weapon slipped from his hands. His breathing slowed. Commander Veyr crawled toward him. "Stay with us." The soldier looked confused. "Commander!" "What? Who are you?" Those 3 words struck harder than any weapon. The soldier no longer recognized his own commander. The creature had erased memories. It had begun erasing relationships. One by one. Commander Veyr grabbed him by the armor. "My name is Veyr." The soldier smiled politely. "I'm sorry. I don't think we've ever met." His eyes became empty. Calm. Peaceful. Then he stood up. Walked directly toward the creature. The monster slowly opened its enormous mouth. Not to bite. Not to swallow. The soldier simply disappeared into the darkness inside it. No blood. No scream. Nothing. 1 second he existed. The next, Commander Veyr couldn't even remember the soldier's face. He slammed his fist against the floor. "No!" Sheriff Caleb grabbed his shoulder. "Don't fight your own mind." Commander Veyr looked up angrily. "How can you still remember them?" Caleb's expression darkened. "Because I'm already dead." The answer made no sense. Yet somehow, it felt true. Caleb pulled something from inside his old sheriff's jacket. A worn leather notebook. Its edges were burned. Its pages yellow with age. He handed it to Commander Veyr. "My journal." Commander Veyr opened it. The handwriting filled nearly every page. At the top of the first page, one sentence had been written in large letters. "If you are reading this, you have already started forgetting." Commander Veyr turned another page. There were names. Hundreds of them. Every resident of Mercy Hollow. Beside each name, small notes. Emily Brooks. Age 8. Loved yellow raincoats. Samuel Carter. Mechanic. Always whistled while working. Rose Harper. Teacher. Afraid of thunderstorms. Commander Veyr looked at Caleb. "You wrote all of this?" "Every day. For 27 years. "Why?" Caleb's tired eyes filled with sorrow. "Because memories disappear. So I became their memory." Commander Veyr slowly closed the journal. For the first time, he understood. The sheriff wasn't protecting the town. He was protecting the people from being erased forever. Every forgotten birthday. Every forgotten smile. Every forgotten child. He had written them all down before the creature could steal them. Dr. Lyra suddenly gasped. "Commander!" She pointed toward another page. At the bottom, fresh ink was appearing by itself. Letters slowly formed as if an invisible hand was writing. Commander Veyr leaned closer. The sentence completed itself. Commander Veyr. Like silence before sunrise. His blood ran cold. "How?" Caleb quietly answered. It's learning you. Commander Veyr flipped another page. New words continued writing themselves. Dr. Lyra Sen. Afraid she'll forget her father. Another page. Corin. One of the remaining soldiers. Favorite song, unknown. Commander Veyr looked at Corin. What is your favorite song? The soldier frowned. Long silence. I don't remember. The journal already knew. The creature was recording them, while simultaneously erasing them. Commander Veyr suddenly understood something terrifying. This notebook. It's connected to it. Caleb nodded. Every memory it steals passes through here. Then why keep it? Because stolen memories can still be returned. Silence. Commander Veyr stared at him. They can? Only if the door remains closed. Before anyone could ask another question, the entire library shook violently. Books crashed from every shelf. Dust filled the air. The heartbeat accelerated again. Boom. 52 seconds. Boom. 48. The creature was becoming stronger. Far beneath the library, something enormous struck the underside of the town. The floor cracked. A long black fracture spread across the wooden boards. Commander Veyr looked down. Darkness wasn't beneath the floor anymore. An enormous eye opened inside the crack. It wasn't shaped like any eye known to science. Its pupil rotated slowly in impossible directions. Inside it, Commander Veyr saw entire human lives. Children playing baseball. Families eating dinner. A wedding. A funeral. Birthdays. Christmas mornings. Thousands of memories. Spinning endlessly. Then, every memory disappeared. Consumed. The eye looked directly at Commander Veyr. A voice echoed inside every mind at once. Not loud. Not angry. Just hungry. Give me his name. Commander Veyr instinctively opened his mouth to answer. Before a single word could leave his lips, Sheriff Caleb struck him across the face. Hard. The commander collapsed onto the floor. What was that for? Caleb's expression was colder than ever before. If you tell it your name. He looked toward the impossible eye beneath the cracked floor. You will never have existed. At that exact moment, the old church bell rang 13 times. Not 12. Not 14. 13. Caleb slowly lowered his head. His hands began shaking for the very first time. The first watch, he whispered, has finally ended. Outside, every light in Mercy Hollow went out at once. And somewhere in the darkness, a massive iron lock snapped open. The sound of the iron lock breaking echoed across Mercy Hollow. Clang! It was louder than thunder. The vibration rolled through every building, every empty street, every forgotten home. Windows shattered. Telephone poles bent as if a hurricane had struck them. Commander Veyr staggered to his feet. The floor beneath the library split open another few inches. The impossible eye disappeared into the darkness below. For a brief moment, everything became silent. Sheriff Caleb closed his own eyes. His shoulders dropped. I prayed I'd never hear that sound again. Commander Veyr wiped blood from the corner of his mouth. How many locks are left? Caleb answered without looking at him. 3. Dr. Lyra's scanner suddenly screamed. Warning. Containment failure. Biological mass ascending. The heartbeat beneath the town accelerated again. Boom. 42 seconds. Boom. 38. Boom. 33. It was climbing. Commander Veyr looked toward the cracked floor. It knows we're here. Caleb nodded. No. It knows we're remembering. The commander frowned. What difference does that make? Caleb slowly opened the old journal. Memory is the prison. Nobody understood. He pointed toward the first page. You think these names are just words? They're not. They're chains. Commander Veyr looked around the endless library. Every black book. Every photograph. Every gravestone. Every journal entry. They were never meant to preserve history. They were holding something in place. Dr. Lyra suddenly realized the truth. The people of Mercy Hollow. She looked at Caleb. They didn't sacrifice themselves to kill the creature. Caleb smiled sadly. You can't kill something that existed before fear. Commander Veyr whispered. So what did they do? Caleb looked toward the church. We remembered each other. Silence. The sheriff continued. As long as even one person remembered your name. The creature couldn't erase you. Commander Veyr finally understood. The monster fed on forgotten people. The town had answered with the only weapon it possessed. Memory. Parents remembered their children. Children remembered their grandparents. Neighbors remembered birthdays. Teachers remembered students. Friends remembered promises. Every memory became another chain. Every name became another lock. Mercy Hollow hadn't been built as a prison. It had become one. 27 years of people refusing to forget each other. That was what kept the creature sleeping. Suddenly, every light inside the library exploded. Darkness swallowed the room. The heartbeat accelerated again. Boom. 29 seconds. Boom. 24. The creature was almost free. Commander Veyr turned toward his remaining soldiers. Only 3 remained. 3. He knew more had landed with him. He just couldn't remember who. One soldier quietly removed his helmet. His eyes were full of tears. Commander! What? I can't remember my own name. Commander Veyr felt his chest tighten. The soldier smiled weakly. I remember serving you. I remember protecting this team. But... He touched the blank place where his name should have been on his armor. I don't know who I am anymore. Commander Veyr grabbed both of his shoulders. You are my soldier. The alien looked into his commander's eyes. Is that enough? Commander Veyr answered without hesitation. Yes. The soldier smiled. Then, his body began fading. Not turning invisible. Simply, becoming less real. His outline blurred. His voice echoed strangely. Even the sound of his breathing weakened. Dr. Lyra cried out. No! She reached for him. Her hand passed through his shoulder. Like smoke. The soldier looked at both of them one last time. I think. He struggled to speak. I remember. He smiled. My mother. Then he disappeared. No flash. No scream. No body. Just empty air. Commander Veyr fell to one knee. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Sheriff Caleb finally broke the silence. The last promise. Commander Veyr looked up. What? Caleb closed the journal. There is one lock the creature has never broken. What lock? The sheriff placed a hand over the empty hole where his heart should have been. A promise freely given. Commander Veyr frowned. I don't understand. Caleb looked toward the church doors. My father was sheriff before me. My grandfather before him. When the first watch began. They promised. No matter what happened. No matter how many years passed. No matter if the world forgot Mercy Hollow. Someone would stay. Someone would remember every name. Commander Veyr whispered. You. Caleb nodded. I was the last one. Dr. Lyra's eyes widened. You died 27 years ago. Yes. But promises don't. The sheriff looked toward the darkness outside. I've been standing watch ever since. Commander Veyr suddenly heard laughter. Children laughing. He turned toward the broken library windows. The streets outside were full. Not with living people. With transparent figures. Ghosts. Hundreds of them. Families holding hands. Firefighters. Doctors. Farmers. Teachers. Every resident of Mercy Hollow stood silently in the streets. Watching the church. Watching Caleb. Watching the last sheriff. None of them looked angry. They looked hopeful. Caleb smiled at them. They came. Commander Veyr whispered. Who are they? The Watch. Every ghost slowly placed one hand over their heart. Then, one by one, they began speaking. Not loudly. Not together. Just enough to be heard. My name is Eleanor Brooks. My name is James Carter. My name is Sarah Mitchell. My name is Robert Hayes. Hundreds of voices. Each person speaking only one thing. Their own name. Commander Veyr frowned. What are they doing? Caleb looked at him. They're remembering themselves. The ground suddenly shook so violently that the church tower collapsed into the street. The final 3 iron chains snapped. The darkness beneath Mercy Hollow surged upward like a living ocean. An enormous black hand burst through the church floor. Its fingers were longer than entire buildings. The creature was breaking through. Sheriff Caleb took one slow step toward it. Commander Veyr grabbed his arm. You can't stop that. Caleb looked at him with calm, tired eyes. No, I can't. He gently removed the commander's hand. But I can remind it. That we never forgot. With that, Sheriff Caleb Rourke walked alone toward the rising darkness. And every ghost in Mercy Hollow followed him. Phase 8. The Lock of Humanity. The black hand continued rising from beneath the shattered church. It tore through the wooden floor as if it were paper. The remaining iron chains snapped one after another. Clang, clang, clang. The sound echoed across Mercy Hollow like the final toll of a funeral bell. Commander Veyr stared upward as the creature emerged. Nothing in the Caliph Dominion's history had ever described anything like it. It wasn't simply enormous. It refused to make sense. Every time Veyr tried to focus on its shape, it changed. Sometimes it looked like a mountain made of living shadows. Sometimes it resembled an endless ocean standing upright. Sometimes, it looked like thousands of human bodies fused together, all reaching toward the sky. His mind couldn't decide what he was seeing. Dr. Lyra fell to her knees. My scanner! Commander Veyr looked down. The display no longer showed numbers. Only one sentence repeated over and over. Memory capacity exceeded. Then the screen went black forever. The creature spoke. Not with a mouth. Not with sound. Every living mind heard the same voice. Everything is forgotten. The words echoed across the town. Immediately, Commander Veyr forgot why he had come to Earth. He remembered commanding ships. He remembered wars. But Earth? Why had they landed here? He couldn't remember. Dr. Lyra suddenly looked at him with frightened eyes. Commander! Who are you? Those words cut deeper than any blade. For a brief moment, she had forgotten him. Commander Veyr felt despair rising inside him. The creature wasn't winning through strength. It was winning by erasing meaning itself. Sheriff Caleb stepped forward. Alone. The ghostly citizens followed behind him in complete silence. No weapons. No armor. No fear. Only memories. Caleb stopped 10 meters from the impossible creature. He removed his old sheriff's hat. I made a promise. The darkness laughed. The sound was like mountains breaking apart. Promises fade. Caleb smiled. Not human ones. He opened the worn leather journal for the final time. Its pages began turning by themselves. Every name he had written during the last 27 years started glowing. Emily Brooks. James Carter. Rose Harper. Michael Dawson. Grace Holloway. One after another. More than 1,200 names filled the night with warm golden light. The ghosts behind Caleb began speaking. Not shouting. Simply remembering. My daughter loved the rain. My husband played the guitar. My brother wanted to become a firefighter. My mother baked apple pies every Sunday. My best friend laughed too loudly. Simple memories. Nothing heroic. Nothing extraordinary. Just ordinary human lives. Commander Veyr suddenly understood. The creature could consume civilizations. It could erase history. But it could never create memories of its own. Only humans could do that. The golden light spread through the entire town. Every house lit up. The school. The diner. The library. The gas station. Even the broken church began rebuilding itself with streams of glowing memories. Commander Veyr looked around in disbelief. He could hear children playing. Parents laughing. Dogs barking. Church bells ringing. For one beautiful moment, Mercy Hollow was alive again. Not because the dead had returned. Because they were remembered. The creature screamed. For the first time, it sounded afraid. Thousands of human memories wrapped around the enormous shadow like chains. Every remembered birthday became another lock. Every family photograph became another chain. Every promise became another prison wall. The darkness fought with unimaginable strength. Buildings collapsed. Mountains trembled. Trees exploded into splinters. Yet the glowing chains continued tightening. Commander Veyr suddenly remembered something. Rourke, the young soldier. He finally remembered his face. Then another. Sergeant Doran. Then another. Every forgotten member of his team returned to his memory. Tears filled his eyes. They existed. Dr. Lyra smiled through her tears. Yes. They were never truly gone. Commander Veyr immediately opened his command log. For the first time since arriving, he began writing. Rourke, Doran, Corin, every name he could remember. The remaining soldiers did the same. They carved names into broken walls, into church benches, into the road itself. The ghost smiled. The humans understood. The aliens had joined the watch. The creature let out one final roar. Forget. Commander Veyr stood before it. No. The creature struck him with a massive shadow. He crashed across the church floor. Bones shattered. Armor broke apart. Blood filled his mouth. Still, he stood. He looked directly into the endless darkness. Then spoke the simplest sentence of his life. We remember. The ghosts repeated it. We remember. The soldiers repeated it. We remember. Dr. Lyra repeated it. We remember. The word spread across Mercy Hollow like thunder. Every remembered name became another glowing chain. The creature's enormous body began sinking back beneath the church. It fought desperately. The town shook violently. But the memories were stronger. One final chain wrapped around the creature's neck. The last lock closed. Click. Silence. The heartbeat stopped. For the first time in 27 years, Mercy Hollow was quiet. The darkness outside disappeared. Stars returned to the sky. The moon shone over the mountains once more. Birds began singing in the nearby forest. The roads leading out of town reappeared. Commander Veyr looked toward Sheriff Caleb. The old sheriff smiled peacefully. His work was finally over. Behind him, the ghosts of Mercy Hollow slowly began fading into warm golden light. One by one, they disappeared. Not erased. Released. Emily, wearing her yellow raincoat, waved at Caleb. Can we go home now? The sheriff's eyes filled with tears. Yeah, sweetheart. You can go home. The little girl smiled. Then she vanished into the morning sunlight. One by one, every soul followed. Finally, only Caleb remained. He tipped his sheriff's hat toward Commander Veyr. You'll remember us? Commander Veyr stood at attention. Like a soldier honoring another. I swear it. Caleb smiled. That's all we ever needed. His body dissolved into thousands of tiny golden lights that drifted into the sunrise. The last watch had ended. Epilogue. 3 months later, the Galactic Council received Commander Veyr's final report. Every classified page contained only one recommendation. Do not build a monument for Mercy Hollow. The Council demanded an explanation. Commander Veyr added one final sentence beneath it. Monuments can crumble. Records can burn. Databases can be erased. Instead, tell their story. As long as someone remembers Mercy Hollow, the lock remains closed. The report was archived across thousands of worlds. Every year thereafter, new cadets in the Caliph Dominion learned the same lesson on their first day of service. Not about weapons. Not about war. But about humanity. Their instructor would write 4 simple words across the classroom wall. We remember the watch. And somewhere beneath the quiet mountains of West Virginia, hidden under an old church that no map could ever truly explain, a single heartbeat waited in complete darkness. Not dead. Not free. Waiting. For the day the universe forgot again.